Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be able to be talking something that looks like it doesn't relate to the root, but then I've tried to see how I can marry these two things together. I hope at the end of my talk, I would have been able to share some of experiences with you. Okay, yes. So I like to play with images a lot. I'm a tech guy, and then I love images. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm trying to look at the concept of the root data scientist point of view. I don't know if you have engineers, have computer scientists in our midst here, which I think we will not really have a whole lot of them. So we have artists, um, literature guys, okay. But then let's see how we are able to put this together. I lecture in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, but then I'm a data scientist. So what I try to do is that everywhere I find myself, I try to find the data connect, and it has helped me. So what it means is that if you have a job in your company and what you do is literature, you can always talk to me and we'll figure it out. Okay, okay, so what I try to do is this. I try to summarize our world, the world we live in, whether we like it or not. Our life is shaped by decisions we make. At every point in time, we're either making one decision or the other. Even when you don't make a decision, you already make a decision. But the challenge is that we need to make good decisions to be better. But then good decisions are quite difficult. But then in the world we are now, we need to make good decisions faster. So, in some years, you can make good decisions and you sit on it and you're fine. But now, you need to make good decisions like yesterday. So it means you need to make those decisions as quick as possible. So these are the challenges we have. Okay, so, yes. So what I try to do is this. The fact that we need to make decisions, we need to make good ones, and we need to make good decisions faster. I try to take this phrase called, it's very common. They say experience is the best teacher. To most people, we might just think, oh, we need to go to class and we need to look for an elderly person. That is what is being referred to with this statement. But as a data scientist, it keys well with me. There was a project that we worked on. I can remember when I was in my first year in my PhD in Malaysia, we were supposed to, my lab director is so passionate about Donald. He loves Donald Trump a lot. But then he can't go to the US every day. So he wanted to have what is called a Donald Trump chatbot. So he could sit down in his office and, converse with a pseudo Donald Trump. And the guy is going to respond exactly the same way Donald Trump responds, even if it is saying what, Donald Trump says some, all those words. So what we did was, okay, how does Donald Trump talks? What we did was to crawl his tweets, all of his tweets, about over 10,000 tweets of Donald Trump. And we were able to create a clone of Donald Trump. So it means when you ask the bot a question, it responds to you in Donald Trump style. Okay. I just try to give you that example so you can. So the experience there is the data. The data about Donald Trump. Another example I can give you is of a guy whose father was diagnosed of a terminal cancer. And his father was going to die in the next 3 months. He felt that his father is so intelligent that he needs his own unborn children to be able to tap from the conversational wisdom of his father. So what he did, okay, he goes to his father on his sick bed, ask his father a question, and he will record the response. So he was doing that for 60 days. So at the end of the day, he has question and an answer, and you can easily build, a conversational agent such that when his children grows up, they can always talk to his dead father. Amazing, right? Yeah, they can always talk to his dead father. So the summary of it is that how does this connect to the root? So the root is about the basis, where you're coming from. So let's just put it this way, the past, so to say. If you look at the plot on the left, you see 4 balls: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Data, it's more to the past. What you did yesterday, what you did 2 years ago, what you did 2 years ago. Then if you go along the course, you see experience and novelty. That is the future. So what it means is that if we are able to connect to the root, then our future, or today and the future, is going to be better. I'll give you some examples, some things you can relate with. The triangle: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. What this is saying, in essence, is that if we are going to be a better people, if we are going to be a better community, if we are going to be a better anything, we have to go back to the root. Because when we go back to the root, we are able to, understand where we are coming from, and we can make better decisions regarding where we are going to. I'll give you another example. When I was working with Carbon, Carbon is a fintech. I don't know if you know Carbon, fintech. They give money. So we have people who come to the platform to collect money with the intention of not wanting to pay. Yes. So we give what is called unsecured loans. We don't ask you to bring your grandfather's affidavit and all of that. You just download the app, ask for money, and we give to you. So we notice that a whole lot of people come to the platform just to collect money and they go away. So the company was losing money. So what we did was, okay, maybe we are getting it wrong. Maybe our assumption that Nigerians are good people. When you give them money, they give it to you back. That's the assumption. That assumption is disconnected from our root. The kind of person we are. So we were giving money and we were losing. So what we did was, okay, so maybe we should go with that data science way. So what we did is that we look into the past. So our company has a very good relationship with one of the top banks in Nigeria. So we said, okay, so maybe we take the data of people who have collected money in these banks and are paid on time. So we took the data and we were able to build a machine learning model. That's what we call it in data science. So this model, once you download the app and you put in all of those stuff you need to put, and it will tell us, give him, don't give him. So some guys will go on Twitter and say, Carbon, I've been asking for a loan, you are not giving me. Why? The reason is that our model already flagged you that if we give you this money, you will not pay. But then we need our money back. Yeah, we need our money. And then sometimes it also tells us, okay, give this guy this loan, but this is the amount you should give to this person. Because, so, we were able to, using that approach, we were able to have a very good, we were able to reduce the budget. We have people paying and everybody is happy. What I'm trying to say again is that as a data scientist, we understand the fact that if you don't look into the past, you might have challenges, living today and also projecting a very good future. So, Yes. So I'll do some case studies because I'm also in biomedical engineering and I'm a very, very radical person. So I do a lot of bioinformatics. In the past, medicine has been general. So what it means is that we assume that what works for Mr. A is going to work for Mr. B. So I can recall a very good experience when I was taken to the hospital and during the era of chloroquine. Chloroquine is still the best drug for malaria. But the challenge is that a lot of people react to chloroquine. So if you react to chloroquine, when you take it, I mean it's like the world is going to come to an end. So I was given chloroquine and it was like, oh, I was going to die. So the assumption is that everybody reacts to this drug the same way. So we could say that the guys who made these drugs actually disconnected, themselves from the root, from the fact that we are different in our own ways. So on the side you see some genomic medicine. In 10, 15 years now, when you go to the hospital, the doctors will ask you, will not even need to ask you, because apparently it will be very cheap to do your DNA sequencing. So the doctor knows that if I give you this drug, it is going to affect you this way. So that means when the pharmaceutical companies are making chloroquine, they make chloroquine for group A, group B, group C, and group D. And how are we going to be able to achieve this? It's by connecting to the root. Our root as humans is the DNA. The DNA encodes for everything we are going to be biologically. Everything. Whether you are going to be fat, you are going to be tall, you are going to be dark, you are going to be light. It's encoded in the DNA, and that is the root. So now in medicine, we are already going back to the root and the concept of genomic medicine. So what that is going to help us with is that in 5 years, you have diseases like Down syndrome, autism, that are very, very devastating. So right from concept, you can make predictions that because this has this gene DNA sequence, the baby is likely to have Down syndrome, and you can do what is called gene therapy. You can remove the gene that would eventually, manifest to the baby having Down syndrome, and everyone is happy. The reason why we are able to achieve this is because we are now going back to the root, which is the DNA. So you have what is called preventive medicine. So rather than wait for people to fall sick, you can predetermine that, because you have this kind of DNA sequence, you are likely to have this disease in 10 years. And I can say to you, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do, because you're connecting back to the DNA, which is the root of humanity. Social networks, everybody will relate with this very, very well. The reason why the social network seems to be compelling on us is because the designer of the social networks have gone back to the root also, behavior. So what happens is when you open your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and all of that, it makes suggestions for you, right? Sometimes it helps you to look for, friends that you've lost contact with. The reason how this is being done is to go back to the root. So if you behave this way, and there's another person who behaves exactly the same way you behave, there is every tendency that you guys want to be friends. So it recommends that to you. So how this is being done is also going back to the root, which is knowing people at the behavioral level. So if you know my behavior and you sell a product to me, the product is going to be, I would really want to take the product. The reasons why fast food use the color yellow, orange, or red to paint their building is because This color will make you to be hungry, whether you like it or not. It stimulates hunger. If you use green, it means you're selling healthy food. And that's why most shops that sell healthy food don't make it, because the food will be expensive. And the color looks, they look all appealing green. Vegetables are bitter. Nobody wants to take. But when you see those yellow and orange and red, so what? So people into the good to be able to sell their product to you. So you don't have a choice. You just have to buy it. You just have to buy it. So if you're a product designer, if you're making anything, you need to you need to understand the good of your customers. And that has given rise to the concept of personalization. And now you have hyper personalization. You wonder, how does this guy know I'm thinking about this? The reason is because we're tracking, all of us are using smartphones, right? So smartphones, smartwatches, everything. So you have your behavior at the micro level, microseconds. So I know what you're going to do in the next microsecond. That's really crazy. I know what you're going to do in the next microsecond. So if I have this information, I can help you plan your life. Okay. I'm an engineer, and I'll definitely talk about how connecting to the good is going to help us as engineers to have better products in our society. There's a concept called digital tool. In engineering, we build systems that are expensive, systems that should work 24/7, systems that should never fail in engineering. So what happens is this: it becomes difficult for us to say, oh, this machine to do what is called preventive maintenance. What that means is that we don't want this machine to fail. How are we going to be able to decide that? And we want to connect back to our roots. So there's a concept of digital twin. So for every physical asset you have, you create a digital twin of it. Okay. So maybe somebody comes on here and says, this generator can use water. This generator can use ethanol. This generator can use palm oil. 3 things. The easiest way to test whether what the person is saying is true or not is to go to the market, buy water, buy ethanol, and buy palm oil, and pour it in the generator and see. If it fails, you buy another one, right? If it doesn't fail, lucky you. So for you to be able to test those statements, you need to have 3 generators. That is a whole lot of money, right? So you're going to be wasting a lot of stuff. So the concept of digital tool. Okay, so how about we having a replica of the generator in digital realm? So instead of me testing water and palm oil on the physical one, I test on the digital. Digital is virtual. So if it fails, good. If it doesn't fail, good. But you know exactly what is going to work. And then you can, whichever one works, you can try on the physical. That is the concept of digital twin. This is what is being adopted in the medical space now. Artificial heart, artificial lungs, all of this. The reason why we are able to achieve this is because we are connecting to the root. We need to connect to the root to create better products. In medicine, it's very, very expensive to get data from the essence of connecting to the root is to get data. But in medicine, it's expensive. Let me give you an example. I want to know what happens when you smoke 365 days. What is going to be the effect on your heart? Okay, the easiest thing to do is to call for volunteer and say the volunteer will give you $10,000 or something. Then you smoke 365 days. Then at the end of the day, we see what it is. That is the easiest, right? But that is very, very dangerous. People will die and a whole lot of things will happen. Why not create a digital run, and then we simulate smoking, and we'll be able to see. So we simulate smoking for 365 days. At the end of the day, we are able to see the effect on the digital guy. And at the end of the day, we say, oh, if you smoke, this is what is going to happen. And in actual fact, it is going to happen. So we have data that we really need. So why I'm saying this is because we have a whole lot of students in the hall. And it is high time we need to start seeing why we need to, we need data. And one way we can do that is by connecting to the root, because the root gives us experience. We can't get those experience on our own physical. I'll give another example. In social science and in art, when people want to build products or you want to give recommendations, what you do most time is to do questionnaire, right? And when you bring those questions to me, I don't have time. I just feel just to make you happy. Some will for themselves. What it means is that the recommendation you're giving based on this questionnaire is fake. Why not create an environment? Why not create an environment that asks those questions you want to ask? For instance, if you ask somebody, if you see a lion, are you going to run? And maybe the person wants to impress you. The person will say, no, our family, they call us Omakin. Of what's Akin? Of a brave person, so to say. The person will tell you that. That is subjective. How about you put the person in a virtual, a virtual game, a virtual environment where a lion appears to the person, and based on the reaction, we'll see whether the person is going to run or the person is going to show truly if he's Omakin or not. So many enabling technologies would actually help us to tap from the benefit of connecting to the root. The benefit of connecting to the root is that we have access to huge data that we can use to create compelling solutions, to give, compelling recommendations. And at the end of the day, people will ask you, how do you do this? You be rich, those things. Yeah. Stop. Okay, sorry. Okay, yes. These two figures here. I have a problem with this WC. The problem is that anytime I use it, the one in my house, and I flush, the guy refuses to go. So I have to now take water again, take a bucket, and then pour before it goes. And I think it happens to us as Africans. So the reason is that the people who develop this, whether we like it or not, our biological composition as Africans is different from the designers of this guy. The food they eat, the kind of food we eat, are totally different. So when the processes, the waste, when it comes out, you don't expect it to be the same. Theirs come very light, ours come very strong. Because what we eat is strong. So that's the problem we have. But then we still use this. So if you are to do the mathematics in terms of the amount of water you waste just flushing this guy, it's a problem. When you quantify it, that's a whole lot of money. The reason why we don't appreciate is because in this part of the world, we provide our own water. Everybody has borehole. So you can use the water anyhow. But if it were to be that you pay for it, then you would have understand, oh, this is it. So the guy who designed this, and they still keep designing, we still keep buying, and we still keep wasting water. If we decide to go back to the root and say, okay, biologically, we understand that Africans are different from Americans. In the voice of Fela, like we are different, So if we are different, then we need to create products, we need to create solutions differently for different communities. So maybe when some guys here who are engineers would want to venture into this, maybe you make, the passage bigger, or rather than using water, you make some valve that just opens up and everybody is fine. I don't want to keep wasting water. And is the questionnaire that I mentioned. I don't like this at all. I said it, I don't like it. And the reason is that it is too subjective. Most students, when they come to your office, when your colleague gives you the questionnaire, you just want to be quick. You just want to tick and just give it to them to go. So if you are going to be making any decision based on that, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So, in summary, as a data scientist, it's my job every day to always find a way to connect back to the root. So what I will ask you is, what happened yesterday? What happened in the past? What data do you have? If you give me the data, I try to look through the data. I try to explore. I try to diagnose. And I try to see if I can make predictions or if I can even make some prescriptions so you can have better solutions, you can make decisions that would be better off. Thank you very much. Yeah.